Welcome to Looking at Legal Stuff. Today we have a sentencing hearing for a woman who has a long history of petty theft, low-level frauds, and substance abuse. The probation department feels that she needs to spend some time in jail as she deflects and minimizes her involvement in her crimes and doesn't seem to be fully accepting responsibility. The problem for the judge is she currently has an infection in her foot and wants to defer any jail time until she's better. Let's see what the judge will do.
Our Spartan fan is rooting for the Wolverines.
Well, I hope he's happy.
All right, good luck. All right, Daniel drew the toughest assignment of the morning with the pre-sentence report on our next defendant, Robin Holtz.
Easier, like easier for you to be here or sit down, or you can sit down.
Either way, it don't matter.
Okay, well, if you want to sit here or if it's easier to be there, whatever you think.
I can just stand right here for right now.
All right, if you'd rather stand, that's all right with me. This is file number 231022SM, People versus Robin Ann Holtz. Ms. Holtz is here with her lawyer, Mr. Paul Gibson. This matter could have been charged as a felony offense, but it was charged as a misdemeanor offense. Defendant pled to retail fraud in the second degree, and we learned that she had some medical issues at that time. And I set the matter for sentencing after the first of the year, which is today, January 8th. And because of all the baggage here, I asked for a pre-sentence report. So Mr. Frazine prepared a pre-sentence report, and this is a tough case. And so, Mr. Gibson, what would you like me to know?
The defendant is currently treating with doctors and going through physical therapy. She's presented to me appointments that show that she's scheduled to have physical therapy every other day, and she's currently scheduled through February 13th. She did present a note from Three Rivers Orthopedics dated, well, it says that her next appointment is on January 15th, and that it says, please excuse patient from work until okay to return work by doctor, and it's assigned by Michael Maskill. The defendant is currently not employed. She's married, lives with her husband and children. She has minor children, it's my understanding. She was, I believe that, you know, when she was confronted in this case by the loss prevention and law enforcement, she did, once she was, I guess you could say, caught, she did not try to deny it. She did admit that she did wrong. She even told the officer that she knows she did wrong. The way she explains it, she was having a really bad day, and she had, the day that this happened, there had been some financial problems that her and her husband apparently were having, and she was just having a really bad day and made a very, very poor decision. Mr. Frazine did a very good job in his report. He was very thorough, and Robin Holtz did, I believe, open up with him about her substance abuse issues, and it does appear that she's struggled with substance abuse issues throughout her life, and that could be related to her criminal history. She doesn't have necessarily anything really serious on her criminal history, but she has, you know, numerous misdemeanor type offenses and numerous retail fraud type low-level theft offenses. So I can understand that, you know, this would be, you know, someone who has been before the courts numerous times, but I do believe that uh, this case, really, if we look at the protection of society, I don't believe that the defendant is a danger to the public. And I believe she can be rehabilitated. I don't necessarily believe that jail time is the answer. I believe that requiring the defendant to take actions to show her how serious this is will obviously be a penalty that will teach her a lesson. There's fines and costs, there's community service, there's probation, there's other things that the court can order as opposed to jail. But if jail is warranted here, I would ask the court to consider a shorter jail sentence than what's indicated in the pre-sentence report. When I look at sometimes with jail, you have to look at the defendant, and when I look at this defendant's criminal history, I would assume that she has not served any lengthy jail sentence. So, I believe even a short jail sentence would get her attention. She would ask the court to consider deferring any jail time until she is completed with her physical therapy. And she does indicate to me that she may need to have another foot surgery. So I guess she's hopeful that she can recover, but apparently her medical situation is still, I guess you could say, somewhat unresolved. Thank you.
Thank you. One problem with you standing there is you're not in the picture for the record, but we do know that you're there. When you speak from that microphone, it works. Ms. Holz, what would you like to tell me?
That I completely regret doing this. It's not only hurt myself, it's hurt everybody around me. It's hurt, I can't necessarily say it hurt the store because they got their belongings back, but it could have hurt the store and the employees. And it's taken up time of everybody's that shouldn't really be dealing with it.
Daniel hit the nail on the head in the pre-sentence report, and that's kind of the sense I got here, is you admit that you did wrong. He states it pretty eloquently here, without really admitting you did wrong. It's very hard for the officer to believe Ms. Holtz is the slightest bit remorseful about any of her cases, as she constantly uses deflection as well as what this officer believes is out and out fabrications to explain away her criminal behavior. For reasons I don't completely understand, you spent several hours walking around the Walmart store, putting $520 worth of stuff in your cart, electronic items, cosmetic items, health and beauty items, and then tried to walk out the auto department door. You also had some reused bags with a bunch of packaging in it. And your version was, was having a bad day, essentially. They did catch you, they did recover all the property, but you have a history of theft and dishonesty. And so what that is childhood trauma landing on you as an adult, which is why I started the investor treatment group when I was prosecutor. There's a connection between childhood trauma and this kind of self-destructive behavior. And that's actually what the embezzlers group is about. You have an open warrant for your arrest in Ohio and have some vague, I don't know, sort of explanation for that. And have a vague, I don't know, explanation for everything. Without actually internalizing it. So what were you doing? Why did you pick up all these things and put them in your cart? They were things that you didn't even really need.
I don't know. I'm working on my therapy with it, trying to figure out why I keep collecting things that I don't need. She said that the only thing that she can possibly tell me as to why I do half the stuff that I did or do is, like you said, because of childhood trauma. I've constantly had things taken from me. So I constantly feel the need to want, and the more I have, the more junk I get. I just hold it close so nobody can take it from me anymore. Me and my therapist are working through.
Who's your therapist?
Her name is Barnell. She's through Covered Bridge Healthcare.
I, as I mentioned, started the embezzler treatment group. And at some point, the circuit court stopped using it. Which was upsetting to me. Because I thought it was very valuable in these types of situations. You opened up just now as much as you had. This is not theft for theft's sake, but it's emotionally driven theft. We get people stealing alcohol. One of the most common things used to be stolen was cigarettes. You can't really do that anymore. And then people steal food. You know, we didn't have any food. And then people steal stuff they can sell. Video game controllers, car electronics, things they're selling for money to buy drugs. And then there's people that have this emotional stealing where you're stealing razors and deodorant and socks and underwear and that sort of stuff. Just things that were not essential. So you weren't going to fence this stuff. You weren't stealing it to sell it.
No.
But what I don't know, was this during your relapse, or this was you'd relapse and then got back? During. Then the relapse was methamphetamine?
Yes.
And that certainly also makes you do irrational things. Couple things bother me. A, the sheer number of past larceny things that you have, and this unresolved case from Ohio that you said, well, I'm going to look into that. And have you done anything to resolve the case in Ohio?
I am working on trying to see what we can do I guess they're waiting to hear back from somebody on their end to see what kind of.
Well, what have you contacted the people in Ohio?
Yeah.
All right, tell me about that.
It was for some purchases, or sorry, for a purchase of some
Well,
cows.
no, don't tell me about the facts. Have you contacted the court or the prosecutor and
Yes.
say, I've got this open warrant I'd like to resolve?
Yes, they're trying to get a hold of the gentleman that I purchased the cows from
All right, who
to
is
see
they?
if they would work with me on some
So
kind of
the
a payment
prosecutor
schedule.
agreed to talk to the original complainant?
I'm sorry, what was
The
that?
prosecutor agreed to talk to the original complainant, or did you get a lawyer to help you with this?
I spoke with somebody in the courthouse. I don't remember what the name was right offhand.
How much money is involved?
I think it was $6,000 to something like that is what we bought the cows for.
Now, these are cows that you were gonna raise and sell for beef?
They were cows that my daughter showed for 4-H.
Okay. So they were purchased with a check and the check didn't clear, and so $6,000 is a lot of money.
Yeah,
And you had some other of this kind of stuff. Is your husband charged also, or just you?
no, apparently it's just me because I'm the one that signed the check, even though both of our names are on the checks, which I don't understand how
You're
that is.
deflecting again. You cheated these people out of $6,000. You got their cows and they don't have any money, and you're in the bullseye, not your husband. So I want you to stop doing that. Daniel, I wasn't joking. I needed some help on this, and this was a difficult draw for you. You're recommending a large block of jail up front immediately, deferred some more, and treatment. What else would you like me to know?
Well, I think the court saw my recommendation, a lot of stuff that you mentioned that I already addressed. Whether it be, you know, my husband wrote the check, I think it's taken care of. This officer did leave, Lean gave me a contact phone number for that Urbana, Ohio case. I left 2 messages. I had never heard anything back from them. And it really didn't give me much information about a particular court. So I would have had to do more calling, but I would expect that if she is on probation, that would be one of the orders would be to resolve that. But whenever I spoke of the past history, sadly, the most jail time she served was 9 days on a DWLS. She had numerous failure to appears in her multiple cases, which again, you know, I know that in typical shoplifting and fraud cases, there's a lot of history, especially when a woman's involved, there's typical red flags and stuff. I thoroughly discussed that 7 Ways to Sunday, trying to find out from her and asked about her current therapy. And my professional opinion that this is more a mess. Most of her stuff is more of a mess and mess stealing, and not really something that we would look at as like, oh, I was, you know,
Did you say meth?
Meth,
Methamphetamine.
Because, you know, when she spoke about sobriety, I used to be an alcoholic, but I've been sober for 7 years. Oh, but then I drink twice a year. And then I've been sober for 8 years for meth, but yeah, I had a backside. It was a yeah, but. Well, I said, well, when you get coins, you don't get a yeah, but coin. You were sober for this much or you weren't sober for this much. So again, she's not facing it. So my opinion was that a lot of these were probably related to substance abuse. She hasn't worked in 2 to 3 years. Again, that points to me as possible substance abuse. This medical issue, she had an operation in April, May, October, and then this could be going on for a long time. I do know the jails had people in wheelchairs, and it's unfortunate that she has a medical issue with her foot, but she has been charged with over 7 cases. Some have been dismissed, but a couple circuit court cases. She's not changing her habit. It did cost the store money because they have 4 people there that they have walk around following people in disguise like normal patrons of the store. And so while she's going around this whole time, I'm sure she's being flagged because I spoke to one of the managers there and she was flagged. So they had to take time away from other responsibility to watch her until she eventually walked out. So it did cost them money. It does cost them money. It costs us, the consumers, money. and this $6,000,
Well, the other thing that troubled me is she had these bags,
which she explained away as a roommate. They were,
which had stuff like previously stolen stuff packaging in it. And that's kind of hard to exactly pin down.
it is hard to pin down, but again, it wasn't her fault. It was her roommates who was stealing and on drugs, which is more red flags, but they kicked her out of the house because they were stealing from her. I mean, the fact that she wouldn't know that they were put in her bag. I mean, it was her bag, not her roommate's bag. So it just doesn't add up. I think this really is just criminal thinking, criminal behavior because of substance use. She hasn't done much jail time. I think she needs a big wake up. And her youngest kid, if I remember correctly, is like 14. So it's not like someone she's, feeding a bottle of milk or having to get to elementary school. Her husband or somebody could probably watch them, but at some point, somebody's got to say, what's the line? 6, 7, 8, 10 charges? Because she keeps costing people, the consumers, money. And she just keeps making, as you saw, she just explains away. I don't know how my husband was it. It's me. Well, you were involved. It's $6,000. Somebody's out $6,000. That's a lot of money. They had to work hard for it. And she's just not in here saying, I'm sorry. Everything's really vague. I don't think she's getting it, but I do think she would benefit greatly from embezzler. So I don't want to just throw her in jail and lock away the key, but she needs to have a big wake up call, in my opinion, Your Honor.
This is a big wake up call.
Well, nothing bad has happened yet. He's recommending 60 days in jail. You've got an infected foot. Between you and your husband, you have 8 kids. He's a truck driver. I can't tell how much of this is methamphetamine. Even if it is methamphetamine, this is the kind of stealing that I'm talking about. It's cosmetics and health and beauty aids and charger cords and weird stuff. I don't think there was even any food in there, but it took you 3 hours to do it. And so your version is you went there and your husband told her your account got hacked, so you didn't have any money, and then you didn't have any of your other stuff with you, and you were emotionally stealing this stuff. And it's okay to say, well, I did bad. You said more today than you said. The sheriff is not going to want you in their jail in your current position. Is your foot infected?
Yes.
Um,
I'm currently on 2 different types of antibiotics.
well, it's been
and
infected.
steroids.
Now, what was the surgery for?
When I was first in here, I had just had surgery not too long previously. I had a cyst and 2 bone spurs removed.
Okay. Which can be painful, but the surgery alleviates the pain. Now you've got an infection, so they don't want you in there, and I don't want you to lose your foot.
Right now, I'd be happy to lose my foot.
Well,
take
no.
away all the problem.
No, I don't. If you did a drug test today, what would it show?
Negative.
For everything?
Yes, sir.
How about marijuana?
Yes.
That would show no marijuana?
Yeah, but I'm allergic to marijuana.
All right. Well, marijuana is legal for adults to use for recreational purposes. I'm just trying to get a handle on what I'm dealing with. But you're right. I've had negative consequences. Yeah, you're standing here and you had to come to court. You haven't gone to jail. 60 days in jail is going to be a negative consequence. It's going to throw your family upside down. There are going to be issues about your child care and your husband making plans to have to do. So you brought your daughter with you. If I put you in jail right now, how does she get home?
I don't know. I had to pick her up from school because she wasn't feeling good, and she goes to ag right here in town.
Well, the biggest problem right now is the infection in your foot. There's a couple other things I want to know. I don't want I called somebody who talked to somebody and maybe they're gonna get back to us. I wanna know what's going on with the $6,000 in Urbana, Ohio.
I'm working on
I
getting it.
want you to give that information to Daniel and we will contact the people if we can figure out who to contact. You don't have $6,000 to pay this man back, and that's probably what they want. Secondly, you have medical issues and you require additional treatment. Third, your foot is infected. I would put you in jail in spite of physical therapy appointments, but I'm not gonna put you in jail while your foot is infected. And I'd like to get a release for your treatment. So I want more information about Urbana, Ohio charge. And we will attempt to contact them. I want a release from your counselor. I want a drug test. And I'm gonna continue this sentence. To a couple months out. See, you've been dealing with this infection for weeks
Since
and weeks.
at least October, Your Honor.
But I don't disbelieve you. I think you have an infection. And you did a little more acknowledging what you were doing. A, acknowledged that meth was right in the middle of this, and B, that you were, and I'm glad you told me, but the reason I started the embezzler treatment group, and a lot of this is kind of embezzlement, is that whole trauma behavior connection. And Daniel's right. He says, she could go to jail without anything, treatment, and then come out worse than you went in. So we need to do something to break that cycle. Daniel, do we know what the status of the embezzlers group is?
I think they had one a couple months ago. I don't know how many are currently on the list.
Let's see.
I think I have one or two that are on the
Yeah,
list.
we have to wait till we get enough people that are appropriate for it, but I certainly believe you belong in it. I'm gonna continue the sentence to no, I'll be here on March 11th. Monday, March 18th at 10:30. I want a medical release from your treatment provider. You're also on a number of other medications that I don't want to get to here on the record for anxiety and other stuff. I want to know about that. I want to get accurate information about this charge in Urbana, Ohio, and we'll see if we can get closer to what it is. And I want you to take a drug test today. I want you to go to Three Rivers and the day reporting center after lunch, and we'll confirm that we're not dealing with drug or alcohol issues. I'm concerned about
That's the one that's right there on the curve by the
by
new
the
Shawner.
bridge, right by the bridge.
Okay.
All right, Monday, March 18th at 8:30. Does that work for you, Mr. Gibson?
I should know in a few, I'm checking right now, so hopefully it does. I know I have something in March on a Monday, but I don't know if it's that particular Monday, so. Monday, March. Did you say at 8:30 or 10?
10:30.
10.
Is that okay?
For some reason, I apologize, but for some reason, my assistant's not texting me back, so I haven't, I could let the court know when I return to
All
my
right, well,
office.
let's go with that date for now. All right, we'll get that release. We'll get that other information. You're gonna go to the DRC today and test. Hopefully it'll be negative, like you said. That'll be one less thing we have to worry about. And
Is there a charge for it?
there is. And you don't have any money with you?
Not right now.
Let's see if we can have Autumn tester here. All right. All right, you're good to go.
Yeah, see out there. I'm gonna get my business card.
I don't need any glasses.
Nothing needs to go in there.
No, I'll take it out. All right, thank you. Thank you, Paul.
Thank you.
All right, let's close the record out.